Hey, what's going on everybody? It's D-Squared Games here, and today we are going to be modifying this Nerf gun here, and it's called the Barricade RV10. And so basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be increasing the power, and we're going to be switching out this barrel that it uses for darts normally. It can only hold 10, to be able to use this thing from my Nerf Raider that I modified so that you can attach any size magazine to it that you want. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's get started. Okay, so here's the basic wiring system of it. You have the two motors that run the flywheels to throw the dart. Then this piece of tape here is where I cut out the jam door switch, so that way you can have the jam door open to check for jams even while you are revving the motors. And then on this side is the actual switch that revs the motors, so we're going to find a place for that. And then here is a 9-volt battery connector that will power the whole thing up. So for example, if I just snap this 9-volt on right here and I press the button, you can hear the motor start to rev up. So that's what that's the whole electrical system that we're going to be putting into it. And then obviously, of course, if you guys saw my Nerf Raider video where I made it shoot almost 200 feet, this is the actual magazine holder from the side of the Nerf Raider, and I'm not using it anymore, so I figure I'm just going to attach it to the bottom of this Nerf gun, and then I'll be able to use these. So pretty much that's all I have to figure out how to do right now. I'm thinking the main setup is going to be to cut out this part of the triggers, because this is what was used to rotate the barrel before. Find some way to keep the trigger back in this position, because this effectively will do nothing now. And then obviously I switched out the springs here. They're kind of weird, but I'm just leaving them like that because they don't really hinder it or anything. And then maybe I'll have to extend this, but that's what's going to push them into the motors, which are going to be here. But yeah, that's the general premise. So I think the first plan of attack is going to be to cut out this whole bottom area of the shell sides, so that way I'll be able to fit this in before I put the motors in and everything. So let's get started. Okay, so how I'm looking at it anyway, it looks like this whole thing can just fit into here. I'm going to need to cut into this little trigger well here, but it looks like this little cut corner there can actually accommodate this pretty well and how we need it to go. So I'm going to try that and get cutting. Okay, so there it is. I've cut out the bottom there, and I don't know how that's going to fit, but it looks like, yeah, I'm going to need to have this a little bit further up than that. It looks like I'm going to have to cut into this part of the thing. After all, it looks like the corner just isn't far enough, so I'm just going to measure it up and cut. Okay, so I think that this bottom right side post is going to have to go as well. Since that's one of the things that holds the motor cage in place, it might be slightly less secure. We might get a little bit more vibrations, but who knows. So yeah, that's out now. Anyway, let's go ahead and trim this up and then test the fitment again. It also looks like this whole thing in the middle that held the barrel in place is also going to have to leave. So yeah, that's out now. Looks like we're going to have to get it pre-aligned, because I have space to put this in now, as you can see, but now the issue is getting it lined up so that the dart pusher will actually go through and hit the dart as far as it needs to go into the actual flywheels, which of course we can extend the pusher arm as far as we need to, but it's just something we have to be considerate of. Okay, so now I'm going to put this whole flywheel assembly motor cage back together, so that way I can see how that fits in, and then we can align the whole magazine thing from there. Okay, so you can see I've got the flywheel assembly in here, and everything's all working like this. So it looks like the well, after having trimmed the bottom of the flywheel holder a little bit, fits perfectly. So we are going to cut the other side of the shell accordingly, and then we are going to glue it in place And after that, find a way to wire the whole thing straight through, and then we'll be done. So we're making good progress. I'm going to trim the other side of the shell to be identical to the right side. Okay, so as you can see, I cut the other side of the shell so it's even now. And so now I am going to take this and just glue it right on there, just like that. Yeah, so I'll get back to you after I've done that.
2 hours later.
Okay, so I finished everything up, and here is the finished product. It looks pretty silly with this giant drum on it, but yeah, that's the general premise of it. We got the 9-volt in there. The battery cover actually wouldn't fit over because it was too thick, but it works well. So I put the switch under here, kind of like most of the other electric ones they have, because it's easy to do. But yeah, you can just take any kind of magazine you want, stick it on in there, and then rev it up and fire away. Just like so. If you want to see the insides of it, I'll show that as well. I guess it's probably good. So yeah, here's what it looks like on the inside. Obviously, I didn't really touch this at all, except to trim a little plastic on the bottom. As you can see in here, I have a spring here and a spring here, just for the trigger to be snappy and everything. The jam door kind of slides back and forth. It doesn't really do anything. You can take it out if you want. I just left it in. And then this side, I have the clip feeder attached to. I have the switch glued in there, and I have the 9-volt wires running through this old screw hole. So yeah, that's pretty much how everything works. That's the whole mod, and hopefully you guys, if you do this, it will turn out well, and hope you guys enjoy this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace, great day.